to put in your container. And you can put vegetables, you can put flowers, you can put shrubs, you can put succulents and cactuses. You know, whatever you use, it's really up to your design and your creativity. But the thing you want to look for is make sure whatever you're planting likes the same thing. You know, I decide where I'm going to put my container first and look at the sun there. You know, if it is a shadier area, you want to make sure every plant that you pick to move together is going to like that shade. Or if it's those plants that you're starting to think about are wet, you want all of them to want a lot of water. See, if you put, you know, a cactus in with a fern, you know, one of them is going to get either too watered or not enough watered. So you really want to match the likes of all the plants. The other thing is whether you're doing vegetables or succulents or anything, designing a planter is really important for how much enjoyment and how beautiful it is. The basics are, whenever I put a container together, I think about 3 different places. You know, when I first started out, it was kind of boring, and I put, you know, a nice geranium in a planter, maybe a spike, and, you know, something. And I always have kind of a rounded ball of, you know, a nice color, but it just didn't have that excitement. And I've learned over the years to get containers that are exciting. You want to do things on 3 different planes. This right here, I've got a trellis in a pot, and that's what I've been doing a lot lately, because I like to have something that goes upwards, and I like something that really does its job in the middle and fills, and then I like something that will spill out the container. So actually, instead of having one garden or one interest, I have 3 different planes of interest. And for example, if I was doing this up, we have some very wonderful vines. This is called a black-eyed Susan vine, and this comes in oranges and yellows and reds. And if you plant this in the middle, it will climb up this trellis and just be gorgeous color and give you wonderful feeling going upward. And then you can put something, you know, in the middle, some other flowers that will fill in the middle and just give you mass and loveliness. And then you can use the spillers, which are the vines that go downward. And so when you're picking out plants, think about this, because we all kind of shop and we all kind of like certain types of plants, but it's mixing those different areas. And if you have that in your mind, you know, you'll have much better luck with how your plants turn out. The other thing, is you want to put together plants that have different textures. And I used to go in and just like find things that are color and pleasing to me, and they all would end up being the same. You know, I would have a lot of daisy flowers in there, or a lot of, you know, just maybe purple color flowers. But the combination of things are really better than just individual plants. And what I always like to do is mix textures of different plantings. And one thing I love are using the grasses to put in. And they have wonderful textures and lightness and color, and a lot of times these plants will give you the height in your planters that you can work with. And just a mixture. These 2 plants together are really beautiful because we have a plant that is light and wispy and just an easygoing texture. And then I have a coleus here that has big, bold leaves. So when you're looking around, it's not always just the flower color that are interesting, but if you find plants that have interesting leaves and interesting foliage colors, the mixture together can be really spectacular. And I was just looking at these three combinations. I have just a miniature rose and this fiber optic grass and a coleus. And when this group grows up, that would just be a really exciting looking planter. And then probably the only thing I would add to that is some kind of vine. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of things that are ready yet here to show you, but with this mixture I might use a potato vine, which is, they have them in like a lime green color or a dark burgundy color, and I put one of those in and it would spill down over the bottom of the planter. So always think of those three things. You know, the high, the middle, and the spill. And also try to mix your textures. Okay, and then you really want pleasing color combinations. When you're picking out plants to work together, you know, think about what feeling you want to have happen. You know, the cool colors, if you're use your patio for somewhere to go and relax and have a cup of coffee and you want you know, a real nice feeling, use kind of the cool colors, the purples and the, you know, the greens and the limes. And if you want to go out to an area that is kind of exciting and that opens up your senses, use the reds and the yellows and the oranges, and that will be a very exciting combination for you. So kind of keep that in mind of really what you want to be doing in the areas that you have containers. Some tips are, you know, when you do container gardening, it's very nice to put them up on little pedestals and have, I've been doing just upside down pots and putting plants up a little bit, so when they spill out and you have flowers that are coming down the edges, when you put them up maybe a foot higher off the ground, you get a much better look to them. Also, some tips for you people that like to do gardening. I did some really nice container gardens that were right outside my patio from my kitchen. And I put a cherry tomato in a pot about this size. I put basil, I put thyme, and I put oregano. And when I'd be cooking, I'd just go outside my door and do, you know, grab things and just use them to cook with. How easy, you know? I don't have to run out to a garden. You can just open the door and grab and have fresh herbs and do cooking, and it really was wonderful. There are also wonderful ways to use the container gardening is in using your space in your patio. A lot of times there's always some place in your yard or your area that you want to cover up. And you can buy these very inexpensive trellises and grow vines up. And I had an area that I was looking at a really ugly air conditioner. So what I did is I took a pot about twice the size of this, 3 of them, and put big trellises in here. And I put morning glories up in the container and spaced them along my patio that faced that really ugly view. And it was gorgeous. So you can really actually rearrange outdoor rooms by just moving containers to areas. And I've seen people put evergreens up in very tall containers and stack them and actually make outside rooms and divide off areas, and it's a wonderful idea. A couple other things I want to talk about is if you have a larger pot, it's easier to maintain because the moisture and the fertilizer and everything is held. If you have a very small pot, you have to water it more. So always when you're making your decision,